What's up guys, it's Veda and I'm back and I'm going to do something a little special for you guys today. I'm actually going to talk about the new DLC that came out for the new Predator game, which had Dutch in it. And for those of you that don't know, obviously Dutch was played by Arnold Schwarzenegger in the first movie, and a lot of people thought the character had actually died after the events of the first film, and that's why he wasn't in Predator 2, because the character had actually died. Well, that's what we were meant to believe. But what turns out is, in obviously the Predator game, Predator Hunting Grounds, you find out that Dutch actually did survive, and he's been like going like doing like expeditions and all that, and like trying to like hunt a predator basically, and like find out more about them and stuff. And it's just awesome. They actually did, in like one of the Predator comics, I believe, they actually did something where it was like a comic book, but it wasn't Dutch. It was like Dutch's brother trying to like find where like Dutch was, but I don't know if that's canon anymore. But anyway, back onto the actual game. So what you find out that he's basically got like radiation poisoning from obviously like when the Predator activated its bomb. So he's basically got that, and you find out as well that he had like encountered like more of them. Like he's been like encountering like more predators and stuff, and it goes like into like detail about like finding them like about like the other places that they visit. Like obviously it goes to like Los Angeles in the same time period that obviously is like when the like the drug cartel are fighting with the Mexican drug cartel are basically fighting with the Jamaicans in the second Predator film, and that's basically where he ends up, and he meets Peter Keyes, Gary Busey's character in it as well, and he talks to him about like finding like Predator tech and stuff. It's such a cool little Easter egg to have, like all of those like little details in the film as well. And then obviously one thing that I really liked, I'll show you guys the cassette tapes that you can find in the game as well. I'll do that a little later on. I'm just talking about them first of all, like giving my own opinion. But one thing that I really liked that was like discussed and like, well, not really discussed, but it was like shown in like one of the Predator games, Predator Concrete Jungle, is it turns out that the Predator's blood can actually grant longer lifespan of like humans, and it can like cure, like I think it's like it cures like cancer and stuff, and that's basically why in like that game the guy basically turns into like a half human half predator hybrid, and that's basically what happens because he's like exploiting it a bit too much. But basically Dutch just ends up, I think he says he's like in his like late 70s, and he's like pressing on like 80, but he says that he feels like a 40-year-old because obviously he's been like exposed to like the Predator blood and stuff, and he's obviously like went through tests and stuff to like become enhanced by it. Not like obviously how it was in like Predator Concrete Jungle, enhanced, becoming like an actual predator, but yeah, pretty cool stuff. But something before I show you guys the actual clips, the audio cassette tapes, I wanted to talk about another game, which is Alien vs Predator 2. Not this one that I'm playing right now, but the actual Alien vs Predator 2 that came out, I think it was like 2001. I would kill for a remake of that game. Like, that game is basically the best when it comes to like the Predator and the Alien, because the campaigns were so good on all of them. The weaponry was really well done, and obviously the sound design as well. Not as good as how it is nowadays with like stuff, but like just overall quality. And the campaign for the Predator in that game was really memorable as well. I wouldn't really say it was as good as this one, but it was still pretty good. I mean, you do go through like it's like a big trial in this one where like the predators basically get stripped of their alien vision, so that they can see if you're able to hunt them without using the alien vision. But then it goes into like you find like a temple that's like buried underneath the area that you're in, and you find out there's like a predator helmet in there that you can like you take, and it gives you the ability to obviously use the alien vision to see the aliens. But enough of me ranting on about that. I'll give you guys an actual hearing of the actual audio tapes from the game. Not all of them, just some of them, but if you guys want me to do all of them, I will. But anyway guys, I'll shut up and I'll let you hear them, and I'll talk to you guys afterwards, so stay tuned.
It's September 12th, 1987. My name is Major Alan Schaefer, also known as Dutch, U.S. Army veteran, Special Ops Commander, and the only survivor of the Valverde incident. These tapes are my personal testimony. Insurance. Should anything happen to me, what I found won't be lost. My team was brought in to rescue a Guatemala cabinet minister and his aide, who had been captured by guerrilla forces in Valverde. We located the downed helicopter, and the skinned bodies of those aboard hung in nearby trees, seemingly at the hands of guerrilla fighters. After assaulting their camp, it became clear that the mission was a setup. American intelligence had sent us to retrieve the captured agents who had been on recon for future military action. But none of that matters, because while we were clearing out the guerrillas, something was hunting us. An invisible killer tracked us as we made our way to the extraction point. In 24 hours, it wiped out my entire team. Rick Hawkins, Blaine Cooper, Mac Elliott, Billy Soul, Jorge Ramirez, and Al Dillon. The best soldiers I've ever known. Men I trusted with my life were butchered like animals. It was a nightmare. We walked in with guns, but it had perfect camouflage, advanced weaponry, and could see heat. It was strong and smart, a pitiless hunter. I waited, I watched, and when I understood it, when I saw how it hunted, I killed it. As it lay dying, in a final fuck you, it activated an explosive device. I barely escaped that blast. My radiation sickness and the crater of the explosion are the only evidence it ever was here. I've given my official statement to Agent Peter Keyes of the OWLF, but it's become clear I needed to investigate Valverde myself. Keyes was thorough, but he asked all the wrong questions. I mean, we have proof of alien life, but that life sees us as game. It's an alien whose first contact with humanity was to hunt us for sport. All Keyes cared about was the technology lost in the explosion. He can see the jungle for the trees. I see the threat. He sees the opportunity. Spies are all the same. I mean, we aren't people to them. We are assets. How many soldiers would he feed to those monsters just for a chance to steal from them or to learn from them? The government can't be trusted. So I'll have to do this on my own. I'm cutting my treatment short and going off the grid. I will make my way back to South America to Valverde. I was told that there were stories about demons who make trophies of man. I'd like to hear those stories. April 8th, 1991. I'm not dead yet. I'll admit, I regret not curing my radiation sickness before I left. It made leaving the country difficult. I cashed in a few favors, took one too many off-the-book flights in rusted-out buckets, but I made it back to Valverde. The area was on lockdown, sealed by American intelligence for study. The complex centered on a crater from the alien self-destruction. I found the scientists slumming in a local bar. A few drinks, a couple of threads later, he was ready to talk. It wasn't much, barely anything I didn't already know. The blast emitted a form of radiation they'd never seen before. Some believed it was extraterrestrial, some didn't. Either they're not too bright, or there's nothing to find. I decided to let them keep searching in vain. It kept them busy and off my trail. I've been touring villages and small towns using the cover of an author writing about South American folklore. I don't know if any of them bought in, but they took my money and told their stories. The closer they were to the jungle, the more stories of devils in the trees. Some were bullshit, made up on the spot, but some carried consistencies that I couldn't ignore. Whatever it was, the demons who make trophies of man, the devil of the trees, or the skull taker, the stories always began on the hottest summer that they could remember. In the summer of 1987, Valverde barely broke its all-time high in temperatures. They love the heat. You must remind them of home. Everything else confirmed the truth of the stories. Proud warriors skinned and hanged, skulls and spines ripped from their bodies. Maybe it was obvious from the beginning, but it wasn't until I heard the stories that I truly accepted the purpose of these mutilations. I mean, they're taking trophies. They travel impassable distances to hunt us, skin us, and mount us over some alien fireplace on another world. It would be disgusting if it weren't so familiar. Where do I go now? It's been on my mind all year. The takeaway from all this intel is that they've been doing this for decades, centuries maybe. They're coming back, and I need to be there when they do. June 27th, 1992. It's hard to remember that the most important part of an operation is patience. You can plan the perfect op, but you can't account for everything. If shit goes south, there's nothing to do but to adapt and finish the mission. Sometimes you just get lucky. I was in the dock, 10 clicks downriver from the Valverde border, figuring out my next move. I was ready to pack it in. I mean, I thought that I learned everything that I could, that there was nothing left for me to find. The OWLF had abandoned the detonation site a year ago, and I thought that they already shipped back to America. That's when I saw Agent Peter Keyes tie his skiff to the dock. I mean, I haven't seen Keyes since I gave my official statement to him. It was impossible, but there he was, with 3 of his buddies. All agents. I mean, the clean, tidy outfits give them away all the time. I mean, they don't want to get down in the dirt, you see. That's what they pay soldiers to do. Keyes walked up, looked right at me, and shook my hand. I mean, with the radiation sickness, I've lost a lot of weight, so I thought that he maybe would not recognize me, but then he greeted me like we were old pals. Keyes is a good spy, saying nothing, implying everything. We spent the next few hours trading war stories at the bar. If you had heard us, you would never have suspected we were trading intel on an alien manhunter. His cover was that they have been looking for a serial killer, a sadist who has been operating in the area for years, hunting people like animals and then skinning them alive. Keyes wanted to talk about the monster, so it all came out in the cover story. In many ways, they were just a few steps behind, surveying villages for information, locating witnesses. He did confirm one thing that I only considered. He taught me how the killer chose his victims. They were always armed. A rifle, a pistol, a knife in the boot. He wasn't taking kids or random villages. He wanted a challenge. Whatever it was a hunter. When it killed for sport. I wish they were here for a military action, recon for an invasion, but the truth was so much worse. We are prey, animals, fit only to be hunted.
So yeah guys, that's just a couple of the audio cassette tapes that you can find in the game itself. But yeah, I really like what they've done with that part of it. Like, it's actually him talking about the events after it, and like in between like Predator 2 and stuff, and then obviously I think it's like the actual skin's called Dutch 2025, so he's obviously aged a lot, but he doesn't feel weak because obviously he's like got the blood of the Predator in him as well. But yeah, just really glad that they were able to actually capture that whole aspect about him and stuff. And if you guys really like this video and you want to hear the rest of the cassette tapes, let me know, because I'll definitely get onto that at some point and let you guys see the rest of it. But for the end, but for this part of the video, I'm going to end it right here, guys. As ever, guys, thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, comment, share and subscribe. As ever, guys, take care, and thanks for watching. Cheers, guys. Thanks.